Thank you so much. Hey, I'm so happy to be here in front of you all. And yeah, I'm going to talk to you about racism and how racism fuels the user experiences. And to get that, we've got to understand the strength of a biased narrative. As Romeo said, my name is Marcy Ericka Charollois, and I am a product of colonialism. But not only that, for sure. I am also a Duchess France member. I am the former chief editor for We Love Dev, which is actually a job platform, and I was in charge of the editorial line, so I've got to select the several subjects that would be on the editorial line. And now I am an inclusion consultant in user experiences and content strategist and creator as well. Probably you know me or probably not, but I've done other conferences. The first one was, I'll tell you why you will not attract and retain women in your tech teams. Ooh. It was such an amazing experience, to be honest. And the second one was how inclusion in tech of LGBTQI plus people works. And the third one is developers, you are responsible of mixity in IT. So as you can see, I love woke subjects. But to talk about racism, for sure, I will share with you my personal history with racism. I want to tell you that when I was a kid, my skin color was way darker than now. And it was such a weird experience because I'm a mixed race woman. And I can tell you that when I was a kid, all the kids said my skin color looked like chocolate, coffee, or shit. I don't know if you know that kind of feeling when you are not even compared with a human, but only chocolate, coffee or shit, whatever, an animal. That's such a dehumanizing experience. And I can tell you that I was seriously struggling with my own identity at some point. Then I understood that being white was better in society because I was always compared with things in general, objects, chocolate, coffee, or shit. So I remember that one day when I was 6 years old, I was praying with all my heart to be white. I wanted to erase all my African features. I wanted to erase everything that was actually giving me a non-white feeling. So I was praying to be white as an African descent kid. But then you grow up and you've got a different experience. And in the professional field, something different happened. I was praised for not having that African features. So it was weird because when I was, people are just asking me, where are you from? What kind of origins do you have? And I'm like, yeah, I'm an African descent. I am a mixed race woman. Oh, that's great because you do look like such an African woman, So that's so weird because it was just like I was waiting for being white, and now I was white perceived, and it was just like such a denial of my cultural background. So yeah, some people replied to me that I looked more professional. Lucky me, avoiding my African features and lineage. But I got to tell you that now I am really proud of myself, proud of my identity, and just like Romeo said, I am the fruit of multiculturalism. My ancestry, of course, and my parents are from Madagascar. I don't know if you know this island. If you know it, you can raise your hand. Okay, quite everybody. Great to see that. And Madagascar is a really weird place because everybody is in Madagascar. For some reason, that gives me the result of 22 ethnicities in my lineage. So I'm from Asia, Africa, Iberia, that implies Spain and Portugal. I am also Scandinavian. I know. Yeah, but I am actually Swedish and Norwegian. I know. It doesn't appear. From Middle Eastern as well, and Native America. What kind of blending do you have in front of you, isn't it? But all these features, all these ethnicities, and my cultural background just made me realize that I have to be actually an activist. And that made me a proud anti-racist, inclusive feminist, for sure, in tech and in my daily life. And I will fight for an empathetic, radical militancy till my last breath. I don't know if you know this girl on the left side. If you know her, you can raise your hand. Her name is Rokhaya Diallo. Okay, a lot of people, I did not expect that at all, but a lot of people do know her. And she's a French African inclusive feminist. And I can tell you that now she's my role model because she was so, relevant when it came to these inclusivity issues we had in France. And I think she's one of our leaders, and we should absolutely read one of her book, which is Racism, a User's Guide from Rokhaya Diallo. And I give you this sentence from her book, which is, when groups are racialized, this induces a universalization of neutral of others. Thus, women and men from diversity are declared to be of color, universalizing the neutral of the color white, accepted in fact as the unquestioned reference. And she was pointing out the lack of inclusivity with a subject that made the media, the French media, a little bit crazy, because she was telling that the neutral Band-Aid was not that neutral. And I was thinking about that. The lack of inclusivity with Band-Aid, making such a huge issue here in France, made me realize that at some point, maybe what I thought was neutral was absolutely not. And this has an impact in user experiences. I would like to share with you a short story about what I've done in my career. I actually participated in a contest, which is real, with the team you can see here. So we were a team selected and entering a real contest for Louis Vuitton. We had to create a design of a connected luggage and an app and user experiences and user stories in order to prove that we had the comprehension of the several issues of this object, totally made by us, okay? As you can see, our team was seriously multicultural. As you can see, we've got Muslim women, we've got African women, we've got mixed race women, we've got Creole, we've got Jewish, we've got everybody from anywhere in the world. And I was gifted at that time to, participate in that kind of contest for developing a connected luggage for Louis Vuitton and its app. So everything was designed by us. So I was also drawing the products and the several products, the several luggages that you can see in front of you. And we decided to go for an international concept. So we did an European luggage, American, African, Arabic, Asian, in order to represent ourselves, our history, and in order to prove to customers that they can be part of the Louis Vuitton history as well. As you can see, you can find several really typical symbols of the different continents. But if you see in details, you've got other patterns from tribes and minorities, because we wanted that everyone could be represented at some point. So that done, we had also such an amazing task to do. Think about two connected apps with the connected luggage here. So we wanted to do something that goes with the luggage directly. And for the customers, that way some travelers can share some tips and premium tips. And we wanted to create also several playlists with Deezer, so we created all of that. And we wanted to, just create a great animation for the travelers. So we had to think about a worldwide UX. And we ended up at the first place. So that was cool, because we had the opportunity to present, for real, our project in front of the Louis Vuitton's team. And my strategy as a project and product manager was to think of UX on different levels, as you can see. So I was thinking about pure UX, potential customers and users from all around the world, and the story we want to tell. And this is something that seriously matters. Some focus in UX because, back to basics is good too. What kind of UX goals are we trying to achieve when we develop a product or a service as a team? Of course, we want our product or service to be functional and usable by the user. We want it to be pretty, at least appealing. So the aesthetic part is important. And of course, the story we want to tell. So what kind of experience we're going to show to our customer and user. But you know what? Let's add a little bit of spice. So let's add 3 other things. The viability, business, strongly linked with the experience that the user and the customer will have with your product or service. The feasibility with technology, strongly linked with the functional and usable fact. And the desirability of the customer and user, strongly linked with the aesthetic. But you know what? I love spicy food, so why not add more spice? Then, let's add the ethical and responsible parts. So all those parts that you can see in front of you are strongly connected, interconnected, and all those points are so important if you want to get the adaptability of your product or service with your customer or users. But you know what? All these points may convey racist biases. I know, that sucks. So my findings obtained as a project manager was, at that point, with this development of this connected luggage and the several apps. Ethnic inclusivity in UX is necessary and not an option. Seriously, we are 8 billion people all around the world. So nobody is only white or black or mixed race or Hispanic. So yeah, we've got to share all our findings together. Then, first rule, we all have to get out of the norm and our norm, because, you know, my norm is probably not your norm, and it's the case for anyone in this room. Ethnicity needs to be defined. Who are we talking about? What kind of cultural beliefs do they have? And of course, what kind of skin color are we talking about when we are telling our story? Then we must reclaim history and human stories from all around the world. And we have to say the terms and not be afraid of them. We have to be an actor of inclusion in the user cases and stories. And we have to promote diverse persona and visual codes. And we have to avoid harmful behaviors. All of that, I'm going to talk to you about that, okay? So the question to ask yourself, absolutely, is my product or service white-driven? You know, sometimes you think that your neutral experience is absolutely neutral, universal, but this is absolutely not the case. Probably your product or service is, built in a white-driven way. So if you notice homogeneous standards, go for a diversity-driven mindset, for sure. So, are you part of the norm? Let's play. Are you a male? You can raise your hand if you are a male. Look at each other in the room. Do you have buying power? So, strong budget to buy anything you want whenever you want. Lucky you. Do you have white skin? Okay, most of the room. Do you have full ability? So you're not struggling with some kind of disabilities. Okay. Are you neurotypical? I was sure that result would come. Are you a cisgender? By that, you're not a trans or non-binary intersexual. Okay. Are you... I'm not trying to do a coming out situation there, okay? Just to let you know. Are you heterosexual? So feel free to raise your hand or not. Okay. You know what? You are in the top tier of social and economical scale. So this is the norm. You're part of the norm. Everything was designed for you. Okay? You're the neutral. You're the typical. You're the standard. And look at us on the right side, the other people. We are the atypical ones, the minorities. But you know what? The richness is there. And the UX empowerment is desperately craving for you here, for sure. So as you can see, yeah, everything is struggling here because no design, no personal stories, no user experience in diversity are done for us, the atypical. With my team, when we were working on this project, I was always thinking of anyone, including me, if anyone could be, at some point, judgmental or ego-driven. Sometimes you can have your ego triggered by some situations. Just like, oh my God, but I don't get why she's always talking like that. What kind of activist is she? Oh my God. Yeah, I know. You can judge people only in such a way, but you've got to go beyond that, and you've got to shut down your ego. Sometimes it's difficult to do that, I know. I was there, I've been there. But when you do that, everything can be empathetic driven. What a good way to write user experiences that are just, part of diversity. Because you know what? We all share an influent human history. And I want you to travel with me, switching from a white-driven mindset product service to a diversity-driven mindset product service. Let's travel through humanity. Departure is now. Welcome on board. Do you know who they are? I see the guys just like this. Yeah, I know them. I know them for sure. I've got the same spirit, Okay. So these guys are from New Zealand. Yeah. Who are there? The All Blacks team. Yeah, what are they doing? Haka. Yeah, as you can see, they all have different features. They've got tattoos. They are just sharing the same spirit, frightening the enemy in front of them. Okay? Probably you think that Haka is only done by men. This is not true. Historically, the haka is made by women and men as well, and non-binary identities that you can have in islands from this part of the world. Okay? And as you can see on these images, they do not have the same tattoos. They do have some tattoos around their mouths and on their face, not specifically on their arms and legs. Probably you're thinking, but what is she talking about? Okay, I'm going to explain that. This tattoo is actually called the ta moko, which is the traditional permanent tattoo of the Maori of New Zealand and the Cook Islands. Okay, but you've got to know that all these specific tattoos have a significant signification. And this actually is part of the revolution of these people, because the tattoo part of the culture was erased when they experienced the arrival of Europeans. And the tattoo, which is called the tamoko, experienced a renaissance for both men and women during the 70s and the 90s. It was an act of resistance. So you can find some people in New Zealand and Cook Islands now with that kind of tattoos. I think you're probably thinking and asking yourself, why is she talking about that? For sure, I will answer. Because this is a white-driven example. This is a facial recognition failure with the Face ID supposed to make your life easier. But not for that kind of people. Because the Face ID do not recognize their face as human face. What kind of user experiences are we doing now? So when it comes to functional and feasibility in technology, you may think that at some point we all have a neutral experience that is not that neutral. And because we have to go on, I would like to let you know that these people are not the only one with tattoo on their face. You can find some Chinese minorities called Drang and Dai tribes that can experience the same thing, the Barbarian from the North Africa part, and the Wodaabe tribes from the Pearl you can find also in West Africa. And you know what? Minorities can use tech too. Let's go to Africa now. So, as you can see, just imagine you're just living your daily life as an African people, okay? Africa is a continent. And then, on a very sunny day, white people come on your continent and decide that you are not human, but something you can buy and something you can have domination on. Okay, so you know what kind of tool is here? This is a muscle. Okay, so this is really good if you want that. If you want people to not talk. So yeah, it was a good way, to restrain the way they can talk to each other with several tribes What you can see here is absolutely not a necklace. It's a collar that you can put on animals as well. And if you are, putting a little bit of pressure here, you're just getting to shrink the neck of your slave. As you can see here, maybe you're thinking, wow, that's a really cool pattern. This is not a pattern. This is the view of African people deported to America and Europe in this boat. You can see here also several images representing the slavery and a black man actually facing his fate. Probably if you want to escape from the dog will hunt him. And they are both wearing collars. Okay? So, I think that at some point, probably, we can change the master-slave nomination for something different. Some people are seriously triggered by that because they've got their ancestry that have been deported all around the world only because they were black. So sometimes maybe you think, oh my God, this debate is going a bit too much two way. But no. We can probably change the master-slave nomination for main, secondary, leader, follower, parent, child, something a little bit softer, because, you shouldn't trigger people. I give you some example of several nominations you can go for: primary, secondary, main, replica, subordinate, controller, device, leader, follower, director, performer. Because, you should be aware that at some point language is ubiquitous by default. So many different, signification for people all around the world. It's my case, okay? Some part of my family has been deported in America. So I've got a lot of family in the southern part of America, and I know that at some point my ancestors just had the opportunity to get out of this situation. White-driven examples, face recognition failure, as you can see, black people compared with gorillas, thank you, Google. Head recognition failures, the hand soap dispenser did not recognize the black skin color, so the hand soap dispenser didn't work. Comparing black people with to animals is absolutely not good because it is part of our history to be always compared. And as you can see, I am a mixed race woman, so I'm not even that concern, but part of my family is. Being compared with animals is, just triggering. At some point, we are no one to judge the trigger that can be done with that kind of comparison. I would like to show you also this whitening facial recognition beauty filter. So when you want to use Face Up, which is supposed to be a beauty filter, you are just whitening yourself at some point. So you are not even considered as beautiful if you are black. So white-driven examples of recognition failure. It works also with Asian people. I told you we would travel a lot. Just to let you know, we do not call Asian people Chinese. There are plenty of ethnicities in Asia. We do not call Asian people yellow people or banana. That doesn't work too. Same with ching chong chong. Racist! This is so racist, okay? Don't do that. Calling Indian people Hindus doesn't work too because Hindu is a religion, not an origin, neither an ethnicity. Calling any India-looking people Paki, Kuri, Bengali, this way, this is a slur. You shouldn't do that. Mistaking Sikh with Muslim is a mistake too. Arab is a common origin, not a religion. Okay. Islam is not Arab because you can find some Arab people that are Catholic. Turkish people are from Asia Minor, also called Anatolian. And just to let you know, Caucasian people are part of the Occidental part of Asia. Armenian, Azeri, Georgian, Iranian, and more are the real Caucasian. Because I don't know why, but white people are called Caucasian, but they're just white European. So the real Caucasian have, they do have their own features. And this is such a cultural erasure that I thought it would be great to highlight that to you today. So I would like to give you some diversity-driven visual examples. Yeah, something positive. You know what? You can promote diversity through emojis, avatars, pictures. At least use the neutral ones there. Okay, do not only use white skin. You can go for so many different emojis, avatars, and also don't be afraid to use diversity through age, okay, cultural beliefs, ability, because people need representation. And just to let you know on the visual part, the same color do not mean the same in every culture. Probably you know that, but for the white color is considered a purity for some cultures and death in Asia. The red is part of the violence patient, and in Asia it's considered as a lucky color. Green is considered as unluck in France, for example, but also hope. I don't know why. Growth for some reasons. And the purple one is linked with noble, death in Brazil, and riches and religion. Another diversity-driven textual examples now. Okay, we're going for the text, we're going for the UX content. So you should probably know that you have to think about special characters for names that can be very long. Sometimes in the forms, some names are considered as errors, so that's not cool. Very long family name, like the Malagasy one from Madagascar, because we love to, have a blend of the alphabet here. Actually, we've got so many letters in our names. It's the same with Spanish people and Portuguese names. It works actually the same way. You should also think about the very short names, like one letter or two. This is quite common in Asia. For example, we've got a minister in France, which actually he was called Cédric O, and his name is just O, okay? So it can happen also on your forms. You've got to think also that some people do not have first name at all. Is the case in Cameroon, Indonesia. I see you nodding. Yeah, I'm great that you feel represented. Cameroon, Indonesia, and Burma, also called Myanmar. And you've got to think about the special characters like French E, A, U, O. We love to be fancy, so we add a lot of little details. As you can see, Scandinavian characters, German with the SZ. I was going to switch in German. Turkish with the sh, y, l, sh, u. So think of all those different characters because they've got an impact of the administration, such as passport delivery, ID delivery, citizenship. Think also about some address that are not usual, like streets, roads, boulevard, because of some geographic situation or social situations. Just to let you know, I put some queer codes in order to show you some studies that are exposing what I am talking about. So if you want to scan, of course, I'm going to give you the link of the slides after that. But if you want to scan and have a look of what I'm saying, feel free. Thomas Pierrin, do you want to talk a little bit about your project? Because you're in the room. No, you don't feel confident? Okay. So this is a name generator, am I right? Yeah, from several continents, as you can see. So that's cool also to, give other names, not only Peter, not only James, not only Jack, not only Karen, for example, because the idea is that Karen is a minority here. So if you want to scan the project of Thomas Pierrin, just in order to have an overview of his GitHub that is going to show you some atypical names and tests, you can scan the query code. Feel free to do that. Diversity-driven textual example. Again, not everyone reads from the left to the right. Yeah, I know, but we do not think about that. But it has a strong effect on your code and your interfaces. So, I'm going to show you some diverse example. Arab and Hebrew is read on this way, okay, from the right to the left. For the Japanese, it's going to be from the up to the down, like this, and to the left, okay? So when you read, it's on this way. So you can imagine that at some point, it could seriously have an effect on your code and on the UX stories you're gonna tell. For Korean, we're gonna change the way of reading a text, because in Korean, you do that, okay? Just like us, basically, for most of us in the room. Chinese is going to be the same as Japanese people, okay? So in that way. If you want to have a really cool conference that will teach you how to do that in 45 minutes, you can scan the QR code in order to learn how to do internalization with Pierre-Yves Lapersonne. It's a really great conference to learn more about the feasibility in technology. Diversity functional example. Yeah, because, sometimes we had a tendency to develop only on one device, but we have to create and develop for multiple devices, because the ethnicity has an impact on what kind of device you are using. I'm only talking about the American part because this is the study that I found. But Black and Hispanic adults in the United States are less likely than white adults to own a traditional computer or have high-speed internet at home. And of course, it has an effect, because at the same time, Black adults are more likely than white adults to say a lack of high-speed internet at home leads to certain disadvantages. For example, 63% of Black adults, compared with 49% of white adults, say that not having high-speed internet puts people at medical disadvantages. So they actually struggle to even have an appointment with their doctors. So it has an impact on the diagnostic. So yeah, racism fuels UX through electronism too. So you should not only develop for computers, but also for smartphones. So my advice: you can create your own inclusive design system, okay, with the vocabulary type you're going to choose, based on everything that I've said. The several kind of images you want to put in your product or service, the emojis, what kind of diversity do you want to get with your team, and the photos, because this is what we have done with my team for the connected luggage for Louis Vuitton and the several images we used in order to show them that we wanted our product to be diverse. My other advice: create your inclusive user research set with your interviews, your tests, your user journey, your persona. Because you know what? The risks and the harms and diverse outcomes for people from minorities in user research are real. I'd like to tell you that you've got to understand people's vulnerability is real. Consent is not a joke when you want to get some information, okay, with your interviews. Private informations are private. And you've got to be seriously aware that the good consent forms are comprehensive, clear, with an opt-in and an opt-out, and culturally appropriate, accessible, editable, and withdrawable. To be honest with you, I had a really bad experience, so I gave my information as a mixed race woman, okay, from a very multicultural background. I am also a LGBTQI plus people, so my vulnerability was really high, and I've learned that my information went away, okay, during an interview. And just to let you know, it's really difficult to face that kind of situation because, of course, the people that had this information made harassment against me. So just be aware that the responsibility you can have is real, and expose people with really strong discrimination, with a really strong discrimination set is real. I wanted to show you this example of how you can lead a test form in order to get information. This is from the conference of Alba Villamil, the Ethical Researchers Checklist. She's done an amazing conference if you want to have a look on it. And this is how she described, how you can create a good vulnerability, susceptibility. So she's written this form with several ranges, as you can see. So you've got the possible harm on this subject and also some suggestions. So the psychological harm, social harms, bodily harm, legal harm, economical harms. This is the example of LGBTQI plus youth risk. It's from her conference. I decided to give you an example of a young non-white LGBTQI plus one in using tech. So you can have inspiration from this. If you want to go further, like me and my team, you've got to challenge and question your privileges. Do you like this word? Probably not. But privileges are real. The responsibility we've got by that is real too, okay? So if you're part of the norm, of course, you will have a lot of privileges. And I would like to show you that the responsibility you can have has also an impact in power systems. So if you are not from the norm, okay, the last wheel that I've shown you, you are probably a minority, and when you are a minority, you will experience racism, ethnocentrism, xenophobia, colonialism, imperialism, and cultural erasure. But not only these words, okay, they do have, they are actually implied in all these systems. So economical systems, political systems, legal, health, education, immigration, citizenship, like I was talking to you just before with the textual examples, housing, property, rental, okay? Probably if you've got a name, an African name, an Arab name, you will not experience the same as a white one if you want to go through housing and rental. Social systems, geographic situation, and family situation. Okay, why should you become an anti-racist ally to help other user stories and experiences in tech? Just to let you know, what we are talking about has such an impact in society that probably you know that, but probably you do not know. But for example, we've got several cases of racist facial recognitions. This is an example of the study that was led by Amnesty International. They were actually tracking how the CCTV cameras in New York were working, and the number of CCTV cameras is higher in non-white neighborhoods, like Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. Actually, it's reinforcing racist biases and identification and surveillance intrusive. So they decided to help non-white people with this amazing map, as you can see it. So they've done the code for everything here. You can scan it and have a view of what they're doing, because it's a real-time surveillance of the surveillance. Okay? So that's great for minorities in order to see how they can be implied without even knowing that in such a huge recognition racist tool. Tech Wars, if you like Star Wars, you can go to Congo, because there is the tech war for real there. As you can see, there is the use of the children in Kivu, Congo. Probably you know that, probably you don't, but there is children labor there. Why are we using children in Congo? Because they are small, and because of their sizes, okay, they can go in the deepest part of the earth in order to extract some amazing things that are used in tech, such as cobalt and such as coltan. But you know, they are from families, sometimes they are also orphans. And what is going on there? There is a strong rape culture because of the armed militia. So they're raping their mothers in order to put pressure on them, in order to, get them work. So this is actually a disaster that is happening in Congo. And I think you have to be aware that at some point we have a strong impact on lives in other parts of the world. Algorithm neglecting non-white people work access. For the story, as you can see here, it's a tweet from someone who was applying for a job, and the software respond, "Hey, Arab, we are pleased to see that you replied to the job offer, blah, blah, blah," okay? So what happened? Everybody on Twitter was like, what is happening? Because the software just decided to call this candidate Arab. And on the right side, you can see the reply of the recruiter, who is actually saying, "We don't know why the software called this candidate Arab as a first name and native as a family name." So yeah, we've got some strong biases and strong racist biases in software too. And just to let you know, Joseph Fuller, who actually is a Harvard researcher, had a really strong studies in several companies in order to know how they do their hiring process and how they do use the software recruitment. So it's more than 90% of companies that are using tools like ADS, helping from screening and ranking candidates. So imagine the impact of the data of just ethnic part of it, and that's just a disaster, to be honest, because as you may think, as you know, some non-white people seriously are struggling with work access. So even if the software that we are designing is racist, it's just a disaster for these kind of people. Outsourcing diversity. Okay, now, probably you've seen that there are a lot of AI issues. And just to let you know what, I'm going to ask you the question. Do you know who this girl is? No? Okay, she is a fake model for Levi's. So she's not even a real black girl. She was just designed by AI. So what kind of fake diversity are we getting right now? So just imagine we are just outsourcing diversity, and Take is providing fake diversity as well with AI to companies. So this promotes an outsourcing diversity, and of course this economy is not even beneficial for non